regulations. These regulations are developed through consultation process and publicly discussed and debated by elected officials with the interest of public safety and consumers' protection first and foremost. By this action, it's the city's opinion that Uber is jeopardizing public safety, including that of individuals that are recruiting as drivers. They are continuing to operate in flagrant disregard of the laws of both city and the province. I'll be clear, this is not about protecting anyone's economic interest. This is about protecting the public and upholding the law. Nothing has changed. Therefore, it's the obligation to stand by those words that the executive director and her position and give her the tools necessary to rein in the illegal operation. The concept of an injunction was developed for this precise scenario that Uber has put the city in. If we do not take this opportunity to uphold our bylaws through this injunction, we will ultimately close our legitimacy as a government that upholds the law. If in the future Council in its wisdom decides to make further changes to the bylaw to permit Uber to operate in Toronto, then be it so. Until that time, we pursue this injunction. Period. Full stop. End of story. Not when it's appropriate timing, not when we would like to do it. Now is the time to do it. You've waited long enough, and we cannot continue to practice a 3D approach. Delay, deny until they die. Delay doing anything, deny that Uber exists, until the taxi industry dies. We can't afford that, ladies and gentlemen. Now is the time that we stand up and be counted. And if anybody says until the appropriate time, the industry is watching. This is the time to do it. Not tomorrow, not because we might have been talked to. Stand up and be counted. Count on your ability to uphold your fiduciary responsibility to make sure that all our citizens go home safe at night. Make sure that our children, our wives, our husbands are home safe at night. And to the Torontonians, when in doubt, take a licensed taxi cab. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Please, if I can ask the members of the public, please. Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise too in this debate as someone who believes that Uber is operating in this city illegally. A company that has come in with great arrogance to say we don't care about the city's regulations, and we will push our way through until such time as we get our way. But when we want to tackle this issue of how to approach Uber, I too want to send a message to Uber today, but I want to send a message to Uber today to say, we will launch an injunction at a time we can win. And I'm saying that because we want to make sure that we use every tool we have. We are prosecuting aggressively, and we have to continue with those prosecutions. We are charging more and more every day. The 4 corporate entities, the drivers, we are charging more every day. But when we decide to go for an injunction, we are wanting to make sure that we are doing it under the conditions that will be likely for us to succeed. So I will be supporting the amendment and the motion to direct our staff. And when there is a very solid and clear majority of this council that says we are directing our staff to defend our bylaw and to win, that's what I'm voting for. And the big fight about whether Uber is going to exist in this city and under what conditions, that's coming. And that's the fight that everybody is going to engage in. And we're going to make some decisions about whether Uber is going to operate here unfettered. Are they going to have open entry into the market? Well, there are people around this table who have different views on that. I say no. Do I want an industry that is part-time, just-in-time drivers? No. Do I want an industry where people can earn a living? Yes. And we're going to have to say to Uber at that time in April, you want to operate here, if you want to operate here, I want to make it really clear, this council has not said yet that they're going to operate here. We will decide under what conditions. So our job right now, I think, everyone who has a stake here, and I know I have hundreds of taxi drivers that I care deeply about, who are losing money every day, that we have to do this right. And we are sending a message today that we are going to do it right and we're going to win, because we need the right conditions to have the greatest likelihood of success. And what I do know as well is that our staff, and I want to point out particularly our Executive Director, also believes that we should be defending our bylaw. And we are actively doing that, and we'll continue to do that. So I say this is a good news story. This council is approving a motion directing that we launch an injunction when we have the best prospects of victory. So how we, in the end, determine if and how Uber will operate here is up to everyone here and across the city. And I know that when it comes to April, I and many others around this table want to make sure that this industry is fair. They want to make sure, as I do, that drivers can earn a decent living in this city. And we want to make sure that our bylaws are going to be respected and defended at the time that, that we approve those, if in fact we do. So I know this is difficult for many to understand, but I say very clearly today, we are putting forward a very strong position on behalf of this council and a strong message to Uber today.
Thank you. Councillor Shiner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was generally being quiet on this until I hear one of my colleagues talk about us not doing our fiduciary duty. And I take real offense to that, because the mayor and this council has been totally charged with this issue. It was quite a discussion or question in camera, and hearing my colleague, Councillor Davis, who was so inclined to really want to go forward with an injunction as of today, say, let's get prepared for it, I think shows you the depth of work that we have done around here. And our staff are not sitting still in this item and letting it go on illegally within the city without trying to take any actions against it. I think they're probably the hardest working group that I've seen anywhere in North America trying to battle with the issue of Uber, because we are one of the largest cities where that service is in play right now. And I think they've done everything they can to try and work to provide safe rides, it's ride sharing or other, in the city. And it's difficult because we did go and try and get an injunction, and we got pushed back. And if you enter the battlefield and you get pushed back, what do? You want to be sure when you enter that courtroom again, you are fully prepared and you know what you're doing. You have to regroup, know what you're doing, and be fully prepared. And that's what we're doing by bringing the item back to council in April, where we will make our decisions on how to go forward. So I think that we are trying very hard to tackle an extremely difficult issue, because technology and the internet is one that's very hard to manage. Now, I say that at the same time because I think those in the taxi industry also have to look within themselves. Why is it so expensive to run a taxi cab? And why is it supposedly an unfair battlefield or playing field out there for people that are out there? Well, because there isn't a licensing fee to rent a plate when someone goes for car share. Why are those plates rented in the first place? Why does the driver have to pay for the right to sit in the car, to rent a plate, to pay a broker, to pay a dispatcher? When you're actually trying to sit in that car and make some money, you're paying everybody else first before you start to... Councillor, I don't speak to you when you're speaking on the floor.
Okay, Councillor Shiner, to the chair. Councillor Karygiannis, please. Do not interrupt Councillor Shiner when he's speaking.
Those are tremendous costs that are borne upon the people that are simply in a taxi cab trying to make a living. And I say that because I know the industry exists out there. But at the same time,
Okay. Okay, if I can have security, please remove. Okay.
so the issue is, and as brought up right now, that those in the industry, and the reason I'm saying that, also have to look at what is happening here and in other places and find a way to work together better and find a way to be competitive within themselves and find a way, as all of us have to lower the cost of being in a taxi cab. And if there are things that we can do here at Council, I'd like to do that as well. But right now, you cannot take your smartphone and say, I want a taxi cab, and get the closest cab to you. You have to look around at all the different taxis that are there. You can't moderate it the same way. You can't pay quite the same way. It's not as easy. And when I talk to people that are younger than me, that like to use their phones for everything, they enjoy what Uber offers them on their phone and on their devices. So I'm saying that the industry also have to regroup and figure out how, in my opinion, they're going to continue to provide that service in the future as well in a cost-competitive way that works within the technology that's growing today in ways that people really want to use them.
Thank you, Councillor Shiner. Point of order, Councillor Matlow.
Small point of privilege, but just in fairness, and I don't think my colleague would have known this, but I just want to correct a statement. I believe Beck Taxi actually does have an app that's similar to what he just described.
Okay.
On a point of privilege, my comment was exactly that.
Okay.
That
Okay, just a sec, Councillor Shiner. Okay, if I can have security, please escort them out, please. Okay, can you escort them out, please?
Listen to your citizen. All taxi industry has the app, my friend. If you don't use, you know why you don't know taxi industry? Because you don't use taxi. You guys support the illegal operators. You are the fucking illegals. We are in the best. We live in the best country in Canada, the best city, but we have the shittest mayor and shittest.
Okay, please. Can I ask security?
When you open your mouth, you better study about industry.
Recess? 5-minute recess. 5-minute recess. 5-minute recess.
Shame to